You're going to suffer somewhere, and you just might be part of the ones that suffer. I'd like to start our class today in the book of Genesis chapter 8, and pick that up at verse 20.
And Noah builded an altar unto Yahweh, and took of every clean beast and of every clean fowl, and offered burnt offerings on the altar.
Mm-hmm.
And Yahweh smelled a sweet savor. And Yahweh said in his heart, I will not again curse the ground any more for man's sake. For the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth. Neither will I again smite any more everything living as I have done.
And when we look out upon the earth today, we can very well see that the earth needs smiting. Simply because sin called crime is running rampant on the earth. And we had a good example of that with the elections here not too long ago. Everybody know what happened at the elections. Everybody know that the Republicans stole the election. All those black kids down there talking about their votes didn't get counted. They wouldn't let them vote. They was throwing out votes and so forth and so on. So we can very well see that sin is not just running rampant among the peons. Sin is running rampant from the top down. It's because of what's happening at the top that sin is abundant in the earth today. But go ahead and read, brother. Because man's imagination is run wild with him. We look up in the heavens today, and what are they doing? They're building a space platform. You know what they're going to do with that platform? That's their jump off spot to outer space. See, they don't have the gravitational pull of the earth anymore. They don't have to use all that solid fuel that they use anymore. Now they can retrofit those rockets with nuclear energy and sail around the universe forever and ever. And what do you think that they're going to do if they find any life up there? They're going to do the same thing they've done any place they went and found life. Amen. They subjugated it. Yeah. Yes, sir, brother. Find out what it's all like, then figure out how to subjugate it. Yeah, go ahead and read, brother.
Genesis chapter 8, verse 22. While the earth remaineth, seed time and harvest, and cold and heat, and summer and winter, and day and night shall not cease.
Amen.
And Elohim blessed Noah and his sons, and said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, and upon every fowl of the air, upon all that moveth upon the earth, and upon all the fishes of the sea. Into your hand are they delivered.
Amen.
Every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you. Even as the green herb have I given you all things. But the flesh, with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall you not eat. And surely your blood of your lives will I require. At the hand of every beast will I require it, and at the hand of man. At the hand of every man's brother will I require the life of man. Whoso sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. For in the image of Elohim made he man. And you, be you fruitful and multiply, bring forth abundantly in the earth, and multiply therein. And Elohim spoke unto Noah and to his sons with him, saying, And I, behold, I establish my covenant with you and with your seed after you, and with every living creature that is with you, of the fowl, of the cattle, and of every beast of the earth with you, from all that go out of the ark to every beast of the earth. And I will establish my covenant with you, neither shall all flesh be cut off any more by the waters of a flood, neither shall there any more be a flood to destroy the earth. And Elohim said, This is the token of the covenant which I make between me and you, and every living creature that is with you, for perpetual generations. I do set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a token of a covenant between me and the earth. And it shall come to pass, when I bring a cloud over the earth, that the bow shall be seen in the cloud. And I will remember my covenant, which is between me and you, and every living creature of all flesh. And the waters shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. And the bow shall be in the cloud, and I will look upon it, that I may remember the everlasting covenant between Elohim and every living creature of all flesh that is upon the earth.
And when we look around today with all of the covenants that was made, there was some visible sign that was left as a token between Yahweh and mankind. First we had the rainbow, right? Then we had the circumcision, right, which was a token, right? Then when we got into the New Testament, where we had the law code, that was part of that also. Then when we got in the New Covenant, we had what? We had the baptism that was a sign between us and God, right? There was always something visible there to remind us of the covenant that Yahweh had made and remind him of the covenant he had made with us. But go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Genesis chapter 9, verse 18. And the sons of Noah that went forth of the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And Ham is the father of Canaan. These are the three sons of Noah, and of them was the whole earth overspread. And Noah began to be a farmer, and he planted a vineyard. And Noah drank up the wine and was drunken, and he was uncovered within his tent. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father and told his two brethren without. And Shem and Japheth took a garment and laid it upon both their shoulders and went backward and covered the nakedness of their father, and their faces were backward, and they saw not their father's nakedness.
And they saw not their father's nakedness. This is something that was a no-no. It always has been a no-no, but today people are walking around in front of their kids half naked, and then what they expect the kids to do. And so, well, I'm in the privacy of my home. You know, I don't keep nothing from my children. There's certain things you need to keep from your children, because if you let them find out certain things about itself, because you can jump the gun on a lot of things and cause your children some very serious problems, because they'll think it's all right simply because they seen the family do it. Yeah, but go ahead and read, bro.
You can really observe their opinion about life. Just watch them going out getting the newspaper early in the morning.
Yeah.
Half of them go outside.
Yes, sir, brother. I know it. When I was in upstate New York working for the city, man, them folks come out of their house in the mornings, man, naked as jaybird. They didn't care. They did not care. You know why? It's their nature. This is why you think Yahweh told us to learn not the ways of the strangers, because they're vain. Yeah, go ahead. It told us the nakedness of your father and so forth you shall not uncover. And here Ham is right there. He go in and look upon his father, and you see what problem it caused him? Yeah, go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Genesis chapter 9, verse 24. And Noah awoke from his wine and knew what his younger son had done unto him. And he said, Cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants shall he be unto his brother.
Now, a lot of people will try to tell you that this is when we were cursed black. It had nothing to do with that. This curse here, if you, as we go down through this story, you're going to see that this curse fell on Canaan and when Joshua fought the battle of Jericho. Israel was servants when they came out of Egypt. So once they conquered the Canaanites, then the Canaanites went in service to two people that were servants. This is why I say a servant of servants shall he be. It didn't have nothing to do with his color. He was already black. Yeah. Go ahead and read, brother.
Genesis chapter 9, verse 26. And he said, Blessed be Yahweh Elohim of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. Elohim shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant.
Well, let's look over in the Middle East and see if that's true. Look at Syria. We got Europeans in Syria. We have Europeans in Iran. We have Europeans in Turkey, right? All of those lands belong to the sons of Shem, so we can very well see that the Europeans are dwelling in those tents, aren't they? Yeah, go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. And Noah lived after the flood 350 years. And all the days of Noah were 950 years, and he died. Genesis chapter 10, verse 1. Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and unto them were sons born after the flood. The sons of Japheth, Gomer, Magog, and Madai, and Javan, and Tubal, and Meshach, and Tyrus. And the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, and Riphath, and Togarmah. And the sons of Javan, Elisha, and Tarshish, Kittim, and Dodanim. By these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands, every one after his tongue, after their families, in their nation.
Now, if you notice now, when you're reading his sons, he's only going to call one of those boys a Gentile. The church tells us today, so we're all Gentiles. You're either a Jew or you're a Gentile. Right here lets you know right here. And if you check out these old names and bring them up to date here, you'll find out that they inherited all of Europe and Asia, and they're still in Europe and Asia today, aren't they? Yahweh truly enlarged Japhet, didn't he? Yeah. Go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Genesis chapter 10, verse 6. And the sons of Ham, Cush and Mizraim and Phut and Canaan. And the sons of Cush, Seba and Havilah and Saptar and Reamah and Saptakar. And the sons of Reamah, Sheba and Dedan. And Cush begat Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth.
So we know that these are the African nations when they mention Nimrod, don't we? Yes, go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 9. He was a mighty hunter before Yahweh. Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before Yahweh. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel and Iraq and Akkad and Canaan in the land of Shinar.
So we see who it was that governed the earth first after the flood. It was the Hamites, wasn't it? Yes. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 11. Out of that land went forth Ashur and built Nineveh and the city, Rehoboth and Calah and Resen between Nineveh and Calah, the same as a great city. And Mizraim begat Ludim and Anamim and Lahabim and Naptuhim and Patruhim and Capsuhim, out of whom came Philistim and Capturim. And Canaan begat Sidon, his firstborn, and Heth, and the Jebusite, and the Amorite, and the Girgashite, and the Hivite, and the Archite, and the Sinite, and the Arpadite, and the Semirite, and the Hamathite. And afterwards were the families of the Canaanites spread abroad. Mm-hmm. And the border of the Canaanites was from Sidon as you come to Gerar unto Gaza, as thou goest unto Sodom and Gomorrah and Admah and Seboim, even unto Lasha. These are the sons of Ham, after their families, after their tongues, in their countries, and in their nations.
Now, when we get further in here, when you give the land to Abraham, we'll find out where Canaan's land really ended at. It ended at the river Nile. It ended at the river Nile. Go ahead, brother. Huh?
Sodom and Gomorrah were part of Africa.
Of the Hamite nations, yeah. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 21. Unto Shem also, the father of all the children of Eber, the brother of Japhet, the elder, even to him were children born.
Now, Eber, we find out that the Eber at the Tower of Babel, we find out once the Yahweh gave everybody their different languages, Eber was the one that spoke Hebrew. Mm-hmm. Go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 22, the children of Shem, Elam, and Ashur, and Arphaxad, and Lud, and Aram, and the children of Aram, Uz, and Hud, and Gether, and Mash. And Arphaxad begat Salah, and Salah begat Eber. And unto Eber were born two sons. The name of one was Peleg, for in his days was the earth divided, and his brother's name was Yoktan. And Yoktan begat Almadad, and Sheleph, and Hazarmaveth, and Jerah, and Hedoram, and Uzal, and Diklah, and Obal, and Abimael, and Sheba, and Ophir, and Havilah, and Yobab. All these were the sons of Yoktan. And their dwelling was from Mishah, as you go unto Sephar, a mount of the east. These are the sons of Shem, after their families, after their tongues, in their lands, after their nations. These are the families of the sons of Noah, after their generations, in their nations, and by these were the nations divided in the earth after the flood.
So now we see we have the Arab nations that are the Shemite nations in place, right? All the nations was in place, and it was given the whole earth, right? Go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. Genesis chapter 11, verse 1. And the whole earth was a one language and a one speech.
And eventually, after this next cleansing, the whole earth will be a one language and one speech again. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 2. And it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, Go to, let us make brick, and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar. And they said, Go to, let us build us a city and a tower whose top may reach unto heaven, And let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth.
Right. Nimrod wants to be some great man. He was a great hunter before Yahweh. So this Hamite here, he wants to build him a tower so he can fight with Yahweh. See how stupid man is upon the earth? And even today, man is mounting up to heaven, and like Yahweh told him, say, you forgot your last estate. Say, you forgot that. He said, though you mount up from heaven, from there I'm going to bring you back down. Though you dig into the bottom of the sea, I'm going to command Leviathan, and he's going to bite you. Yeah. Ain't no hiding place from this one here. Go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 5. And Elohim came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men built it. And Yahweh said, behold, the people is one, and they have all one language, and this they begin to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to.
Nothing. No evil will be restrained from man, right? Look on the earth today. Go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 7. Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So Yahweh scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city. Therefore is the name of it called Babel, because Yahweh did there confound the language of all the earth, and from thence did Yahweh scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth. These are the generations of Shem. Shem was 100 years old and begot Arphaxad 2 years after the flood. And Shem lived after he begot Arphaxad 500 years and begot sons and daughters.
Now, if you do some research, you're going to find out that Shem died just before Rachel did. So we can see that Shem lived a long time. He died just before Rachel. Go ahead now, read, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 12. And Arphaxad lived 530 years and begot Salah. And Arphaxad lived after he begot Salah 403 years and begot sons and daughters. And Salah lived 30 years and begot Eber. And Salah lived after he begot Eber 403 years and begot sons and daughters. And Eber lived 430 years, and begot Peleg. And Eber lived after he begot Peleg 430 years and begot sons and daughters. And Peleg lived 30 years and begot Reu. And Peleg lived after he begot Reu 209 years and begot sons and daughters. And Reu lived 230 years and begot Serug. And Reu lived after he begot Serug 207 years and begot sons and daughters. And Serug lived 30 years and begot Nahor. And Serug lived after he begot Nahor 200 years and begot sons and daughters. And Nahor lived 29 years and begot Terah. And Nahor lived after he begot Terah 119 years and begot sons and daughters. And Terah lived 70 years and begot Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Now these are the generations of Terah. Terah begot Abram, Nahor, and Haran begot Lot. And Haran died before his father Terah in the land of his nativity in Ur of the Chaldees. And Abram and Nahor took them wives. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife Micah, the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah, and the father of Ishkar. But Sarai was barren; she had no child.
So now what we've got now is the passage of the Holy Seed. These are the sons of God that came out of Shem. Chapter 12 and verse 1, my brother.
Yes, sir. Now Yahweh had said unto Abram, Get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto a land that I will show you. And I will make of you a great nation, and I will bless you, and make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless you, and curse him that curses you, and in you shall all families of the earth be blessed.
All the families will be blessed, but all the families will still be separated from Abraham and his people. Yahweh has always separated us from the nations, and he's done it in these last days through us coming under the blood of the Messiah and walking in the laws of God. This is what keeps us separated. This is why we're warned by the Messiah, let your light so shine before men that they will see your good works and glorify your Father. Not you, but glorify your Father which is in heaven. But what we find is that man wants the glory. Man wants the glory. Man don't want to give God the glory. Man wants to glory in himself while he's here on the earth, and it's not going to work. But go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 4. So Abram departed as Yahweh had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him. And Abram was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran. And Abram took Sarai his wife, and Lot his brother's son, and all their substance that they had gathered, and the souls that they had gotten in Haran, and they went forth to go into the land of Canaan, and into the land of Canaan they came. And Abram passed through the land unto the place of Shechem, unto the plain of Morah, and the Canaanite was then in the land. And Yahweh appeared unto Abram, and said, unto your seed will I give this land. And there builded he an altar unto Yahweh, who appeared unto him. And he removed from thence unto a mountain on the east of Bethel, and pitched his tent, having Bethel on the west and Hai on the east. And there he built it an altar unto Yahweh, and called upon the name of Yahweh. And Abram journeyed, going on still toward the south.
But he hadn't gotten out, he hadn't separated himself from his father. When Abraham left, he took Lot, his nephew, with him. So he really, when Abraham left out of Ur of the Chaldees, Abraham had his whole family with him, his daddy and everybody else. That wasn't his instructions. His instruction was get you out of your father's house. But we'll see what happens later on with that. Go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 10.
This is why instructions are so very, very crucial and must be carried out. This is why I tell people, I say, now, if you come over NCCI and you want to be a member of NCCI, make sure you follow your instruction, because we got a job we have to do. And when you don't follow instruction, it causes problems. It causes serious problem, because the instructions are not geared up to glorify us. It's to glorify the God of Israel. Go ahead and read, my brother.
Genesis chapter 12, verse 10. And there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down into Egypt to sojourn there. For the famine was grievous in the land.
That's not what he was told. 13 and 12. That's not what he was told. He was told to go in the land of Israel, not in Africa. Where I say go, man, 13 and 12. Pick that up. Yeah, 13 and 12.
Abram dwelt in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelt in the cities of the plain, and pitched his tent toward Sodom. But the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before Yahweh exceedingly. And Yahweh said unto Abram, after that Lot was separated from him, lift up now your eyes and look from the place where you are, northward and southward and eastward and westward. For all the land which you see, to you will I give it, and to your seed forever.
Now, if you read this story before that, what happened was they came to some plains, and it was well watered and place for cattle and so forth and so on. And when Lot saw that, he had to have it. See how Yahweh tempted him? Made him get away from Abraham. See, it caused problem between Lot's herdsmen and Abraham's herdsmen. They had problem about the cattle, they had problem about the wells, they had problem about everything, simply because Yahweh was separating the two. And you're going to find that this is the same thing that happens in your life. When you come up and you keep getting problems coming from folks and problems coming from folks, the best thing to do is get up off them. Back on off and let Yahweh do what he got to do. Yeah, go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Genesis chapter 13, verse 16. And I will make thy seed as the dust of the earth, so that if a man can number the dust of the earth, then shall your seed also be numbered. Arise, walk through the land in the length of it and in the breadth of it, for I will give it unto you. Then Abram removed his tent and came and dwelt in the plain of Mamre, which is in Hebron, and built there an altar unto Yahweh.
15 and 1. Now, the things that I'm leaving out, if y'all been missing Bible class on Sabbath morning, you're missing these things. Well, go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 1. After these things, the word of Yahweh came unto Abram in a vision, saying, Fear not, Abram, I am your shield and your exceeding great reward.
Amen.
And Abram said, Yahweh Elohim, what will you give me, seeing I go childless, and the steward of my house is this Eleazar of Damascus?
Obviously, he didn't know the power of his creator, did he? Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 3, and Abram said, Behold, to me you have given no seed, and lo, one born in my house is mine heir. And behold, the word of Yahweh came unto him, saying, This shall not be your heir, but he that shall come forth out of your own bowels shall be your heir. And he brought him forth abroad and said, Look now toward heaven and tell the stars, if you be able to number them. And he said unto him, So shall your seed be. And Abram believed in Yahweh, and he counted it to him for righteousness.
Amen.
And he said unto him, I am Yahweh, that brought you out of Ur of the Chaldees to give you this land to inherit it.
And you notice what he said in verse 6? And he believed Yahweh, and his belief was counted to him for his righteousness. With us, we have faith that's counted to us, that's imputed to us for our righteousness, right? Faith in what? Faith in the fact that Yahweh is going to carry out his every word he told the prophets. Yeah, go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 8, and he said, Adonai Elohim, whereby shall I know that I shall inherit it? And he said unto him, Take me an heifer of 3 years old, and a she-goat of 3 years old, and a ram of 3 years old, and a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. And he took unto him all these, and divided them in the midst, and laid each piece one against another, but the birds divided he not. And when the fowls came down upon the carcasses, Abram drove them away. And when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and lo, a horror of great darkness fell upon him. And he said unto Abram, Know of a surety that your seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom they serve will I judge, and afterwards shall they come out with great substance.
He said, and verse 18, and he said unto Abram, Know of a surety that your seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years, and afterwards will they come out with great substance, and that, and that nation will I also judge. Now, when our people went down in Egypt, if you check the story, you find out that our people was only under bondage for about the last 100 years. About the last 100 years they was in bondage. But this captivity here, he said, and they shall serve them and afflict them 400 years. So that meant from the day that they set foot in America, in this strange land, that they would be in servitude until the day that they went out, right? And truly we in servitude today. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 15.
If you don't think so, try to do something the Europeans don't want you to do and see what happens. Yeah, go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 15. And thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace, thou shalt be buried in a good old age. But in the 4th generation they shall come hither again, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. And it came to pass that when the sun went down and it was dark, behold, a smoking furnace and a burning lamp that passed between those pieces. In the same day, Yahweh made a covenant with Abram, saying, Unto your seed have I given this land, from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates, the Kenites and the Kenizzites and the Cadmonites and the Hittites and the Perizzites and the Rephaims and the Amorites and the Canaanites and the Girgashites and the Jebusites.
Now, when you read this story, after you go through our people going into the land and so forth and so on, you're going to find out one thing. our people never did live in that land from the river Nile to the great river Euphrates. They never did conquer all of that land. They were satisfied just to live in the land that they were in the land of Israel. See, sometimes what it shows you that we can get complacent once Yahweh give us things, and then we don't go on and strive and do the other things that we need, that's necessary for us to do, because the job that we've done so far is much, much greater than we got to do. Because we're getting down to this, we're coming down to this period of time known as the Great Tribulation period. And we can look out and see that Satan is grabbing his and Yahweh is grabbing his. So we can very well see that the pit that the wicked has dug for himself, that our people in mass is falling into that pit. And we got to jump down in that pit to help get them up out of the pit. And they don't want to come out. Okay, they don't want to come out, brother. They satisfied with the way Master got them going. Go ahead and read, brother.
Genesis chapter 16, verse 1. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, bore him no children, and she had a handmaid, an Egyptian, whose name was Hagar.
Mm-hmm.
And Sarai said unto Abram, Behold now, Yahweh hath restrained me from bearing. I pray you, go in unto my maid, it may be that I may obtain children by her. And Abram hearkened to the voice of Sarai. And Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar, her maid, the Egyptian, after Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to her husband, Abram, to be his wife. And he went in unto Hagar, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eyes.
What did she expect? What did she expect? Here's a woman that's a princess, and she brings her maid in to lay with her husband, and her husband and the woman gets pregnant. Didn't she think that this woman was gonna feel some ill feelings toward her because she was barren? Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 5. And Sarai said unto Abram, My wrong be upon you.
Now she wanted to admit she was wrong. Right? She knew she was wrong in the beginning. If Yahweh had closed the womb, how could somebody else have children for her? They didn't have any surrogate mothers the way that they do it today back in those days. Go ahead and read, brother.
Last part, verse 5. I have given my maid into your bosom, and when she saw that she had conceived, I was despised in her eyes. Yahweh judged between me and you.
See what she told her about? Yahweh judge between me and you. Brother, wait a minute, I didn't ask for all this. And you gonna say Yahweh judge between me and you? No. Yahweh judge between you and Hagar. Yeah. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 6. But Abram said unto Sarai, Behold, your maid is in your hand. Do to her as it pleases you. And when Sarai dealt hardly with her, she fled from her face.
She should have kept her mouth shut. Go ahead, brother. But you know how folks are, man. Folks get a little toenail in, boy, and they're going to let everybody in town know. I got a toenail in this door here. Yeah. Go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 7. And the angel of Yahweh found her by a fountain of water in the wilderness, by the fountain in the way to Shur. And he said, Hagar, Sarai's maid, from where did you come? And where will you go? And she said, I flee from the face of my mistress Sarai. And the angel of Yahweh said unto her, Return to your mistress and submit yourself under her hands. And the angel of Yahweh said unto her, I will multiply your seed exceedingly, that it shall not be numbered for multitude. And the angel of Yahweh said unto her, Behold, you are with child, and shall bear a son, and shall call his name Ishmael, because Yahweh have heard your affliction. And he will be a wild man. His hand will be against every man, and every man's hand against him. And he shall dwell in the presence of all his brothers.
And right over there in the Middle East today, we know that Muammar Gaddafi has fought all of his brothers and tried to fight the United States and everybody else. He is a wild man. But see, Yahweh had backed up off him after he raised all this sand. See, Yahweh backed up off him, and now the brother's hobbling around on them crutches and everything. Now he's trying to humble himself, but it's too late for that. Yeah. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 13. And she called the name of Yahweh that spoke unto her, Thou, Elohim, seest me. For she said, Have I also here looked after him that seeth me? Wherefore the well was called Bir Lahai Roi. Behold, it is between Kadesh and Bered. And Hagar bore Abram a son, and Abram called his son's name, which Hagar bore, Ishmael. And Abram was 86 years old when Hagar bore Ishmael to Abram. And when Abram was 99 years old, Yahweh appeared to Abram and said unto him, I am the Almighty El. Walk before me, and be you perfect. And I will make my covenant between me and you, and will multiply you exceedingly. And Abram fell on his face, and Elohim talked with him, saying, As for me, behold, my covenant is with you, and you shall be a father of many nations.
Not all nations, many nations, right? So we know he already was the father of Ishmael, which was a nation, right? And he also, he was the father of Ishmael. Go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. Genesis chapter 17, verse 5. Neither shall your name any more be called Abram, but your name shall be Abraham. For a father of many nations have I made you. And I will make you exceeding fruitful, and I will make nations of you, and kings shall come out of you. And I will establish my covenant between me and you and your seed after you in their generations for an everlasting covenant, to be a God unto you and to your seed after you. And I will give unto you and to your seed after you the land wherein you are a stranger, all the land of Canaan, for an everlasting possession, and I will be their Elohim. And Elohim said unto Abraham, Thou shalt keep my covenant, therefore, thou and thy seed after thee in their generations. This is my covenant which you shall keep between me and you and your seed after you. Every man-child among you shall be circumcised. And you shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall be a token of the covenant between me and you. And he that is 8 days old shall be circumcised among you, every man-child in your generations. He that is born in the house or bought with money of any stranger, which is not of your seed. He that is born in your house and he that is bought with your money must needs be circumcised. And my covenant shall be in your flesh for an everlasting covenant. And the uncircumcised man-child, whose flesh of his foreskin is not circumcised, that soul shall be cut off from his people. He have broken my covenant.
Okay, my brother, let's go into Romans here. Let's go into Romans 11. And he told Abraham that he'd be a father of many nations and not all nations. So something had to be done about the Europeans. And let's see what was done about the European. Let's pick this up at Romans 11 and now verse 11.
I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall? Elohim forbid. But rather through their fall, salvation is come unto the Europeans for to provoke Israel to jealousy. Now if the fall of Israel be the riches of the world, and the diminishing of them the riches of the Europeans, how much more their fullness?
How much more should their salvation be? If the fall of them, because Israel fell, you received the riches of the world, and because Israel was diminished, the Gentiles receive all the wealth of the world. How much more shall Israel's salvation be? Go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. Romans 11, verse 13. For I speak to you, Europeans, inasmuch as I am the apostle of the Europeans, I magnify mine office. If by any means I may provoke to emulation them which are my flesh, and might save some of them. For if the casting away of Israel be the reconciling of the world, what shall the receiving of them be but life from the dead?
Amen.
For if the first fruit be holy, the lump is also holy. And if the root be holy, so are the branches. And if some of the branches be broken off, and you, being a wild olive tree, were grafted in among them, and with them partakers of the root and fatness of the olive tree, boast not against the branches. But if you boast, you bear up not the root, but the root you.
So in other words, what he's telling us here is that Yahweh planted a vine in a very fruitful hill. And then what he did eventually, to show that he is the God of all flesh, what did he do? He grafted the Europeans into our tree, right? Now anybody know anything about farming, you know that you can graft a plum branch into an apple tree, and that apple tree will never taste like a plum. But that plum branch will begin to, the fruit that it yields will begin to take on the taste of that apple. Why? Because the original tree was an apple. But what happened with us was this, just the opposite. Because we were in captivity, we took on the ways of the Gentiles. If you don't think so, look at all the money that's being spent on this pagan holiday they got coming up. And folks telling me, say, well, I know, but it's for the kids. No, it's not. You the one buying the gifts. Don't tell me about no kids. Them kids ain't going buying nothing. You spending the money. Yeah, go ahead, brother.
We taking also on the spirit of the Gentiles?
Sure. We think we're Gentiles. That's because that's what they've taught us in church. We are Gentiles. So we think we're Gentiles, and Gentiles keep telling us, no, you're not Gentiles. You are not Gentiles. You stay on the other side of the railroad track over there. Yeah, we're going to let a few of y'all over here, but just that few. Yeah, go ahead and read, brother.
Well, I asked someone, brother, if we are African American.
Well, that means if Botha, the guy who used to be over South Africa, if he were to come to the United States, he from Africa, then he have to be an African American.
Of course he would. Of course he would. Everybody that come from any other country is that and American, right? Unless they're born in this country, right? You're right, brother.
Well, I told the European, he kept calling me African American. I told that European, I said, man, just call me nigga.
I know that's what I tell him the same thing. I'm going to be called a nigga. Don't call me no African American.
Don't call me a
I know that's right.
Well, one thing about it, being an African American, the Africans disown you, and the Americans trying to get rid of you. So, go ahead, here, brother. We still between a rock and a hard place. Yeah, go ahead now, finish up, Steve.
Yes, sir. Romans chapter 11, verse 19. You will say then, the branches were broken off that I might be grafted in.
No, they weren't. They weren't broken off so you could be grafted in. The branches were broken off because of their unrighteousness. Go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 20. Well, because of unbelief they were broken off, and you stand by faith. Be not high-minded, but fear. For if Elohim spared not the natural branches, take heed, lest he also spare not you.
Now look out on the nations today, the way that the nations are doing things, especially the Europeans that was given this last 2,520 years to rule. We can very well see that the Messiah came today, all the nations to be lost, us too. See, he still got to clean us up and clean us up so we'll be able to be changed from this vile body to that new glorious body. But this is a process. It's not going to happen to any of us overnight. We're going to have to grow into that spirit of thing, and this is going to come from Yahweh pushing us, because we ain't going to do it ourselves. Like I was telling the brother the other day, there's some people who don't see their book from one Sabbath to another. They have to find the book on the Sabbath day when they get to come to church. And then other people, they get up there and they'll glance through there and try to do some selective reading. The best thing to do is start up in the Genesis and come down through here and lay you a foundation to build on. Once you lay that foundation to build on, then start doing your selective reading. Go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Romans chapter 11, verse 22. Behold, therefore, the goodness and severity of Elohim. On them which fail, severity, but toward you, goodness, if thou continue in his goodness, otherwise you also shall be cut off.
Well, they're all Christians. Ain't 90% of them, right? So they been cut off in heaven. Okay, go ahead, bro.
Verse 23. And they also, if they are black. Yeah, man, that black and that African American, the Afro American, I mean, that's just a bunch of slang.
Well, brother, ever since I've had a job with these Europeans, since I've been under the blood, when I fill out my application for anything, even when I take my kids to school to register them at a school, what I do, where it say national origin, I put Hebrew Israelite there. See, that's what they put other. I check up and put Hebrew Israelite there. That way, when the kids' holy days come up and they give them some static, just call up the school and say, look, why don't you check his record? My kids, every year, the first place I take a letter to as far as our holy days to is to the schools. These are the days that my children will be out. These are the holy days that they celebrate, and they will not celebrate any of your pagan holidays, okay? If those days come and they got to be out of school, then send them home. I'll keep them home. But don't tell me that 35% of his grade is drawing a Santa Claus. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. Go ahead and read, brother. You better give them something else to do to make up that 35% of whatever it is, because I'm not going to even listen to that.
Well, they try to give him a black Santa Claus and think that makes it all right.
Of course they do, but that Tom turkey too have them. They don't do the whole turkey. They make them do the feathers. See, if they don't draw the rabbit, they have them out there looking for eggs. Yeah, they're going to get over with our kids one way or another one, unless you go to the school and stand on your own 2 feet, then they leave the kids alone. Go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Romans chapter 11, verse 23. And they also, if they abide not still in unbelief, shall be grafted in. For Elohim is able to graft them in again. For if you were cut out of the olive tree, which is wild by nature, and were grafted contrary to nature into a good olive tree, how much more shall these, which be the natural branches, be grafted into their own olive tree? For I would not, brethren, that you should be ignorant of this mystery, lest you should be wise in your own conceits, that blindness in part has happened to Israel until the fullness of the Europeans become evil.
Right, until they do the same thing that is doing in Nimrod's time, make them a human god. Go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir, verse 26. And so all Israel shall be saved. As it is written, there shall come out of Judah the deliverer, and shall turn away ungodliness from Jacob. For this is my covenant unto them, when I shall take away their sins. As concerning the gospel, they are enemies for your sakes. But as touching the election, they are beloved for the Father's sake. For the gifts and calling of Elohim are without repentance.
Right, he can't change, because if God changed his word, then he truly wouldn't be God anymore. And that's what you begin to learn when you begin to study about the true and living God, that he's the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. A lot of times he alters the way in which he does things, but he remains the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Let's go back up into Genesis, brother. And pick that up at Genesis, what'd you leave off at? Genesis 17 and verse 20. Uh, 19, I'm sorry. 18, yeah.
17 and 18.
Yeah.
Genesis chapter 17, verse 18. And Abraham said unto Elohim, oh, that Ishmael might live before you.
Right, I see this boy here. Let him live before you. You talking about my wife barren, and you talking about she gonna have a child. Oh, that Ishmael may live before you. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 19. And Elohim said, Sarai your wife shall bear your son indeed, and thou shalt call his name Esau. And I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him. Right.
I heard you about Ishmael. He's going to have 11 princes. But my covenant, I'm going to establish my covenant with this boy that haven't even been born yet. Why? Because the earth is Yahweh's and the fullness here is, and he is the author and finisher of our faith. He wrote the story from the beginning, and everything got to go according to his word. This is why the angels are so present in the earth today, to make things go just the way that our Creator wants them to go. Go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Genesis chapter 17, verse 20. And as for Ishmael, I have heard you. Behold, I have blessed him, and will make him fruitful, and will multiply him exceedingly. 12 princes shall he beget, and I will make him a great nation. But my covenant will I establish with Esau, which Sarah shall bear unto you at his set time, in the next year.
Okay, chapter 21 and verse 1. Chapter 21 and verse 1.
And Yahweh visited Sarah as he had said, and Yahweh did unto Sarah as he had spoken. For Sarah conceived and bore Abram a son in his old age at the set time of which Elohim had spoken to him. And Abraham called the name of the son that was born unto him, whom Sarah bore to him, Esau. And Abraham circumcised his son Esau, being 8 days old, as Elohim had commanded him. And Abraham was 100 years old when his son Esau was born unto him. And Sarah said, Elohim have made me to laugh, so that all that hear will laugh with me. And she said, who would have said unto Abraham that Sarah should have given children suck? For I have borne him a son in his old age. And the child grew and was weaned. And Abraham made a great feast the same day that Esau was weaned.
I guess so. That brother had more teeth than I had. Yeah. Go ahead and read, brother. Yes, sir, brother. That brother had more teeth than I got, brother. Yeah. Well, that ain't hard to do. I should say one of y'all got some teeth because I bought mine. But go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 9. And Sarah saw the son of Hagar, the Egyptian, which she had borne unto Abram, mocking.
Mm-hmm.
Wherefore Sarah said unto Abraham, cast out this slave and her son. For the son of this slave shall not be heir with my son, even with Esau. And the thing was very grievous in Abram's sight because of his son. And Elohim said unto Abraham, let it not be grievous in your sight because of the lad and because of your slave. In all that Sarah hath said unto you, hearken unto her voice. For in Esau shall your seed be called. And also of the son of the slave will I make a nation, because he is your seed. But he didn't say he was his son, did he?
Right.
He said he was his seed. So
right. That's why I said take Esau, your only son. He made a difference, didn't he? Go ahead, brother. Just like he said about Israel. We know that Yahweh created all the nations, but what did he say about Israel? Say, you're the rod of my inheritance. Okay. Go ahead, brother.
Brother, when you go to the Christians and those Muslims, brother, and you say, you deal with Amos and say, among all the families of the earth, only you have I known.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it don't.
They don't want to deal with that, brother. You know what they say? They say God is prejudice. God is prejudice. I say, right.
Everybody else is
right. He created angels the way he wanted them, didn't he? And he created man the way he wanted him, didn't he? Okay.
It's just like you said, he's a favoritist. He's got his favorite people.
Right. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 14. And Abraham rose up early in the morning and took bread and a bottle of water and gave it unto Hagar, putting it on her shoulder, and the child, and sent her away. And she departed and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba.
Okay, my brother. Now let's go into Romans chapter 9, and we're going to read, pick it up at verse 1. This piggybacks off verse 12. It says, and Elohim said unto Abraham, let it not be grievous unto your sight because of the lad and because of your bondwoman. And all that Sarah has said unto you, hearken unto her voice. For in Esau shall the seed be called. This is the same seed that he promised in Genesis 15:13 when he said, know of a surety that your seed will be a stranger. This is the seed that he was talking about here. Let's go to Romans 9 and pick that up. We'll put something in the book here because we're coming back here. Romans 9 in verse 1 through verse 15.
I say the truth in the anointed one, I lie not. My conscience also bear me witness in the Holy Ghost, that I may have great heaviness and continual sorrow in my heart. For I could wish that myself were accursed from the anointed one for my brethren, my kinsmen according to the flesh, who are Israelites, to whom pertaineth the adoption, and the glory, and the covenants, and the giving of the law, and the service of Yahweh, and the promises, whose are the fathers, and of whom as concerning the flesh, the anointed one came, who is over all, Elohim, blessed forever. Amen.
Amen. Who are Israelites, right? And all of the holy things of God was given to the Hebrew Israelite, right? And verse 5 said, these things belong to our fathers, and of whom as concerning the flesh, the Messiah came. The Messiah said in St. Matthew 15 chapter, I'm not sent but to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And when we read the other week in the first chapter of Luke, what was said about him? And Yahweh Elohim shall give unto him the throne of his father David. He shall reign over the house of Israel forever. Right? How you doing there, Sister Adara? Go ahead and let's go back. Go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Romans chapter 9, verse 6. Not as though the word of Elohim have taken none effect, for they are not all Yisrael which are of Yisrael.
Amen.
Neither because they are the seed of Abraham are they all children. But in Esau shall your seed be called.
Mm-hmm.
That is, they which are the children of the flesh, these are not the children of Elohim, but the children of the promise accounted for the seed.
Now them same children that he mentioned in Genesis 15:13, and the same seed that was talked about in Genesis 12, right? Go ahead, brother.
Verse 9. For this is the word of promise, at this time will I come, and Sarah shall have a son. And not only this, but when Rebekah also had conceived by one, even by our father Esau, for the children being not yet born, neither having done any good or evil, that the purpose of Elohim according to election might stand, not of works, but of him that calleth. It was said unto her, the elder shall serve the younger. As it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. What shall we say then? Is there unrighteousness with Elohim? Elohim forbid.
Right. Is there righteousness for Elohim because she made a choice among men? God forbid. The earth is his and the fullness here, and he do what he want to do with it. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 15.
Y'all didn't complain too much. The Europeans didn't complain too much when Peter went to them, and when Paul and the rest of the apostles started going to them. They didn't complain then, did they? Okay. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 15. For he says to Moshe, I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy, and I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion.
Okay, my brother, I don't want to go no further than that. Let's go back up in Genesis again. Genesis chapter 21, and pick that up, my brother, at verse 14.
Verse 14. And Abram rose up early in the morning, and took bread and a bottle of water, and gave it unto Hagar, putting it on her shoulder and the child, and sent her away. And she departed and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba. And the water was spent in the bottle, and she cast the child under one of the shrubs. And she went and set her down over against him a good way off, as it were a bow shot. For she said, let me not see the death of the child. And she sat over against him, and lifted up her voice, and wept. And Elohim heard the voice of the lad, and the angel of Elohim called unto Hagar out of heaven, and said unto her, what aileth thee, Hagar? Fear not, for Elohim have heard the voice of the lad where he is. Arise, lift up the lad, and hold him in your hand, for I will make him a great nation. And Elohim opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water, and she went and filled the bottle with water, and gave the lad drink.
The well was already there, wasn't it? The well was already there, wasn't it? And she didn't even see it. See, there's a lot of things that surround us that we don't see until the angel of the Lord open your eyes to where you can see those things. And some things you see me, you're going to want to run, but whatever you see, you better take note of it. Yeah, go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 20. And Elohim was with the lad, and he grew, and dwelt in the wilderness, and became an archer. And he dwelt in the wilderness of Haran, and his mother took him a wife out of the land of Egypt.
22:1.
Yes, sir. Verse 1. And it came to pass after these things that Elohim did tempt Abraham, and said unto him, Abraham, and he said, behold, here am I. And he said, take now your son, your only son Esau, whom you love, and get you into the land of Moriah, and offer him therefore a burnt offering upon one of the mountains, which I will tell you of.
Now, you know what was going through Abraham's mind, don't you? Because he had already told him that he's going to make a covenant with this boy, right? That Sarah is going to bear to you at the next time this year, right? So I'm going to make my covenant with him. And out of him shall the seed come. Now he tell him to go sacrifice him. See? But let's see what our father did. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 3. And Abraham rose up early in the morning and saddled his ass and took 2 of his young men with him and Esau his son and cleaved the wood for the burnt offering and rose up and went unto the place of which Elohim had told him. Then on the 3rd day Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place afar off. And Abraham said unto his young men, Abide you here with the ass, and I and the lad will go yonder and worship and come again to you. And Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it upon Esau his son, and he took the fire in his hand and a knife, and they went both of them together.
Now, isn't it strange that, isn't it coincidental, I shouldn't say strange, isn't it coincidental that Esau was preparing to offer the heir of promise upon the Mount Moriah, the same place that the Messiah died? Yeah. You might want to do some research on that, see what you come up with. Go ahead, brother.
Also interesting, brother, it's seeming that there's a parallel
Between how the Messiah bore his own cross. I mean, he died on a stake. You know, they called it a cross. He was forced to carry it. Here we see here the brother was forced to carry his own wood.
Right. Yeah, Esau is a type of Messiah. Esau has to deal with the church, the new church, a whole lot of other. It's a type of the new church. It's a type of the birth, of the death of the cross. It's a type of the resurrection of the children of Israel when Abraham received him back again. You see, so.
Also, on the he went forth before Yahweh on the 3rd day, as we went before Yahweh at Mount Horeb on the 3rd day.
And as the Messiah was resurrected on the 3rd day. Right, on the Feast of First Fruits. This is why it's so important that we observe our feast days, everything on their season and on their day. But go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 7. And Esau spoke to Abraham his father and said, My father. And he said, Here am I, my son. And he said, Behold the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for a burnt offering? And Abraham said, My son, Elohim will provide himself a lamb for a burnt offering. So they went both of them together. And they came to the place which Elohim had told him of. And Abraham built an altar there and laid the wood in order and bound Esau his son and laid him on the altar upon the wood. And Abraham stretched forth his hand and took the knife to slay his son.
Now, which one of y'all do that? It's hard to say.
I can't lie, brother, in that situation, who knows what.
It's hard to say.
Right.
But when it comes down, right down to where the rubber hits the road at, a lot of decisions are made then. A lot of decisions. All of us can say, I'll do this, I know I'll do that. But when you put in that position, a whole lot of things change, don't they? Yeah, go ahead. Then we find out who we serve, don't we? Go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir, verse 11. And the angel of Yahweh called unto him out of heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Here am I. And he said, Lay not your hand upon the lad, neither do you anything unto him. For now I know that you fear of Yah, seeing you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me. And Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, behind him a ram caught in a thicket by his horns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered him up for a burnt offering in the stead of his son.
Truly, as Abraham has said, Yahweh provided his own offering, didn't he? Go ahead, brother.
Verse 14. And Abraham called the name of that place Yahweh will provide. As it is said to this day, in the mount of Yahweh it shall be seen.
In the Mount Moriah it shall be seen even unto this day. Go ahead, brother.
And the angel of Yahweh called unto Abraham out of heaven the 2nd time, and said, By myself have I sworn, says Yahweh, for because you have done this thing, and have not withheld your son, your only son, that in blessing I will bless you, and in multiplying I will multiply your seed as the stars of the heaven, and as the sand which is upon the seashore, and your seed shall possess the gate of his enemies. And in your seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because you have obeyed my voice.
Right, in verse 17 it says, And in blessing I will bless you, and in multiplying I will multiply your seed as the stars of heaven, and as the sand which is upon the seashore, and your seed shall possess the gate of his enemies. Talking about the Messiah. And your seed And in your seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because you have obeyed my voice. So truly, in the Messiah and in Israel will these things be brought about. Chapter 23 and verse 1.
And Sarah was 127 years old. These were the years of the life of Sarah. And Sarah died in Kiriath Arba, the same as Hebron, in the land of Canaan. And Abraham came to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her.
Verse 19.
And after this, Abraham buried Sarah his wife in the cave of the field of Machpelah before Mamre, the same as Hebron, in the land of Canaan. And the field and the cave that was therein were made sure unto Abraham for a possession of a burial place by the sons of Heth. And Abraham was old and well stricken in age, and Yahweh had blessed Abraham in all things.
Amen.
And Abraham said unto his eldest servant of his house that ruled over all that he had, Put, I pray you, your hand under my thigh, and I will make you swear by Yahweh, the El of heaven and the El of the earth, that you shall not take a wife unto my son of the daughters of the Canaanites, among whom I dwell.
Now Abraham tell him, said, look, don't you let my daughter marry none of these Canaanites, right? And we claim to be Hamites. Go on and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 4. But you shall go unto my country and to my kindred and take a wife unto my son Esau.
Verse 10.
And the servant took 10 camels of the camels of his master and departed. For all the goods of his master were in his hand. And he arose and went to Mesopotamia unto the city of Nahor. And he made his camels to kneel down without the city by a well of water at the time of the evening, even the time that women go out to draw water. And he said, O Yahweh Elohim of my master Abraham, I pray you, send me good speed this day and show kindness unto my master Abraham. Behold, I stand here by the well of water, and the daughters of the men of the city come out to draw water. And let it come to pass that the damsel to whom I shall say, Let down your pitcher, I pray you, that I may drink. And she shall say, Drink, and I will give your camels drink also. Let the same be she that you have appointed for your servant Esau, and thereby shall I know that you have shown kindness unto my master.
Right. See, that's what you do when you pray to Yahweh pertaining to a thing. You pray to him about it, and then you put something in there so that when it makes itself manifest, you know that the Yahweh made that manifest for you. See,
he had a servant that was interceding for him also, right?
Of course. His servant was faithful, brother. His servant went to the work. He did just what he was supposed to do and no more. He didn't tarry, and he came back with the prize that he was sent to get. He was a very faithful servant, and he made sure he got everything clear from Abraham and from the people he went and dealt with. That's what a servant does. A servant don't go off haphazardly. A servant put his creator before him and go ahead and take care of that business, brother. Yeah, go ahead and read.
Verse 15. And it came to pass, before he had done speaking, that behold, Rebekah came out, who was born to Bethuel, son of Milcah, the wife of Nahor, Abraham's brother, with her pitcher upon her shoulder. And the damsel was very fair to look upon, a virgin, neither had any man known her. And she went down to the well and filled her pitcher and came up.
Verse 23.
And said, Whose daughter are you? Tell me, I pray you, is there room in your father's house for us to lodge in? And she said unto him, I am the daughter of Bethuel, the son of Milcah, which she bore unto Nahor. She said, moreover, unto him, We have both straw and provender enough and room to lodge in. And the man bowed down his head and worshipped Yahweh. And he said, Blessed be Yahweh Elohim of my master Abraham, who have not left destitute my master of his mercy and his truth. I being in the way, Yahweh led me to the house of my master's brother.
Amen.
And the damsel ran and told them of her mother's house these things. And Rebekah had a brother, and his name was Laban. And Laban ran out unto the man unto the well.
50, verse 50.
Then Laban and Bethuel answered and said, The thing proceedeth from Yahweh. We cannot speak unto you bad or good. Behold, Rebekah is before you. Take her and go, and let her be your master's son's wife, as Yahweh hath spoken. And it came to pass that when Abraham's servant heard their words, he worshipped Yahweh, bound himself to the earth.
You see what this brother kept doing? This brother kept entreating and thanking the Creator for guiding him in his way. See, because he wouldn't take one step unless he wouldn't do anything unless he first prayed, and once it was over with, he thanked for it. Go ahead, brother. A lot of times Yahweh gives us the desires of our heart, and what we have a tendency to do is enjoy the desires of our heart, and then pretty soon you think about, oh, I got to thank Yahweh for giving me this. Right. Nice, might have already turned into a curse to you. Yeah, go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 53. And the servant brought forth jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiment, and gave them to Rebekah. He gave also to her brother and to her mother precious things. And they did eat and drink, he and the men that were with him, and tarried all night. And they rose up in the morning, and he said, Send me away unto your master, unto my master, I'm sorry. And her brother and her mother said, Let the damsel abide with us a few days, at the least 10. After that she shall go. And he said unto them, Hinder me not, seeing Yahweh have prospered my way. Send me away that I may go to my master. And they said, We will call the damsel and inquire at her mouth. And they called Rebekah and said unto her, Will you go with this man? And she said, I will go. And they sent away Rebekah, their sister, and her nurse, and Abraham's servant, and his men. And they blessed Rebekah, saying, and said unto her, You are our sister. Be you the mother of thousands of millions, and let your seed possess the gate of those that hate them.
Amen.
And Rebekah arose, and her damsels, and they rode upon the camels, and followed the man. And the servant took Rebekah, and went his way. And Esau came from the way of the well Lahai-roi, for he dwelt in the south country. And Esau went out to meditate in the field at the eventide, and he lifted up his eyes and saw, and behold, the camels were coming. And Rebekah lifted up her eyes, and when she saw Esau, she lighted off the camel. For she had said unto the servant, What man is this that walketh in the field to meet us?
You see how much respect she had for this man? She jumped down off that camel so she wouldn't be taller than he was. He wouldn't have to look up at her, right? And then she did something else to show that she was in subjection, of which a lot of time our folks don't like to get off into. But go ahead and read it anyways, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 65. For she had said unto the servant, What man is this that walketh in the field to meet us? And the servant had said, It is my master. Therefore she took a veil and covered herself.
Right. That's what she's supposed to do. Take a veil and cover herself, right? Go ahead, brother. You get to tell them folks to cover up one of these $40 dudes. They done mess around and spent $150, $200 to get some braids in their hair, and you get to tell them folks, you got to cover up that stuff. No, I ain't going to cover. You stay home, man. I go by myself. You go by yourself, and I go by myself. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 66. And the servant told Esau all things that he had done. And Esau brought her into his mother Sarah's tent, and took Rebekah, and she became his wife, and he loved her, and Esau was comforted after his mother's death. Then again Abraham took a wife, and her name was Keturah, and she bare him Zimran, and Yokshan, and Medan, and Midian, and Ishbak, and Shuah. And Yokshan begat Sheba and Dedan, and the sons of Dedan were Ashurim, and Letushim, and Leamim. And the sons of Midian, Ephah, and Epher, and Hanok, and Abida, and Eldaah. All these were the children of Keturah.
So we can very well see what's happening now. Remember, he told Abraham he was going to make him a father of many nations. So we got 6 nations right here. plus Ishmael. So there were 7 nations that came out of, and we're not talking about Jacob yet, but there were 7 nations that came out of Abraham and Esau, right? And these were the nations right here that made Abraham the father of many nations, a multitude of people coming up out of those. But out of all of this, the seed that was chosen was the seed that was called Esau. Go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 5. And Abram gave all that he had unto Esau. But unto the sons of the concubines, which Abraham had, Abraham gave gifts and sent them away from Esau his son, while he yet lived, eastward unto the east country.
Now his son won't have no problem with all those brothers, really, because they knew that they came from they were half brothers, and he didn't want any problem. So what he did, he gave them gifts and said, "Okay, bye." Right. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 7. And these are the days of the years of Abraham's life which he lived, 175 years. Then Abraham gave up the ghost and died in a good old age, an old man and full of years, and was gathered to his people. And his sons Esau and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah in the field of Ephron, the son of Zohar the Hittite, which is before Mamre, the field which Abraham purchased of the sons of Heth. There was Abraham buried, and Sarah his wife. And it came to pass after the death of Abraham that Elohim blessed his son Esau, and Esau dwelt by the well, Lahai-roi.
Verse 19.
And these are the generations of Esau, Abraham's son. Abraham begat Esau, and Esau was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife, the daughter of Bethuel, the Syrian of Pandanaram, the sister to Laban the Syrian. And Esau entreated Yahweh for his wife, because she was barren. And Yahweh was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived. And the children struggled together within her. And she said, If it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of Yahweh. And Yahweh said unto her, 2 nations are in your womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from your bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Esau was 60 years old when she bare him.
And that verse 26 lets you know why the scripture said that Isaac was called Jacob rather was called a transgressor from the womb, simply because he grabbed onto his brother's heel, and it showed that he was supplanting his brother even from the beginning. But go ahead and read, brother.
And then you said also his name was called what? Heel holder? Okay. Verse 27. And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field. And Jacob was a plain man, dwelling in tents. And Esau loved Esau because he did eat of his venison. But Rebekah loved Jacob. And Jacob saw pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint. And Esau said to Jacob, Feed me, I pray you, with that same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom. And Jacob said, Sell me this day your birthright. And Esau said, Look, I am at the point to die. And what profit shall this birthright do to me?
You see what he thought about his birthright? He sold it for some what? Some partridge that somebody was cooking, some pottage that somebody was cooking, right? You have to ask ourselves, what's our price? Go ahead, brother.
Verse 33. And Jacob said, Swear to me this day. And he swore unto him, and he sold his birthright unto Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage of lentils, and he did eat and drink and rose up and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. And there was a famine in the land beside the first famine that was in the days of Abraham. And Esau went unto Abimelech, king of the Philistines, unto Gerar. And Elohim appeared unto him and said, Go not down into Egypt. Dwell in the land which I shall tell you of. Sojourn in this land, and I will be with you and will bless you. For unto you and unto your seed I will give all these countries, and I will perform the oath which I swore unto Abraham your father.
Amen.
And I will make your seed to multiply as the stars of heaven, and will give unto your seed all these countries, and in your seed shall all nations of the earth be blessed, because that Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws. And Esau dwelt in Gerar.
Verse 23.
Yes, sir. And he went up from thence to Beersheba. And Yahweh appeared unto him the same night and said, I am the El of Abraham your father. Fear not, for I am with you, and will bless you and multiply your seed for my servant Abraham's sake.
27 and 1.
And it came to pass that when Esau was old and his eyes were dim, so that he could not see, that Esau his eldest son,
That he called Esau.
Chapter 27, verse 1. And it came to pass that when Esau was old and his eyes were dim, so that he could not see, he called Esau his eldest son and said unto him, My son. And he said unto him, Here am I. And he said, Behold now, I am old. I know not the day of my death. Now therefore take, I pray you, your weapons, your quiver, and your bow, and go out to the field, and make me some venison, and make me savory meat, such as I love, and bring it to me, that I may eat, that my soul may bless you before I die. And Rebekah heard when Esau spoke to Esau his son. And Esau went to the field to hunt for venison and to bring it. And Rebekah spoke unto Jacob her son, saying, Behold, I heard your father speak unto Esau your brother, saying, Bring me venison and make me savory meat, that I may eat and bless you before Yahweh before my death. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice according to that which I command you. Go now to the flock and fetch me from there 2 good kids of the goats, and I will make them savory meat for your father, such as he loves. And you shall bring it to your father, that he may eat, and that he may bless you before his death.
Right, now she gonna make them goats taste like venison. Boy, she was out there, wasn't she? Yeah, go ahead. That's who you need in the house for a cook, ain't it? Yeah, go ahead, brother.
Verse 11. And Jacob said to Rebekah his mother, Behold, Esau my brother is a hairy man, and I am a smooth man. My father peradventure will fail me, and I shall seem to him as a deceiver, and I shall bring a curse upon me, and not a blessing. And his mother said unto me, Upon me be your curse, my son. Only obey my voice, and go fetch me them. And he went and fetched, and brought them to his mother. And his mother made savory meat, such as his father loveth. And Rebekah took goodly raiment of her eldest son Esau, which were with her in the house, and put them upon Jacob, her younger son. And she put the skins of the kids of the goats upon his hands, and upon the smooth of his neck. And she gave the savory meat and the bread which she had prepared into the hand of her son Jacob.
Verse 26.
And his father Esau said unto him, Come near now and kiss me, my son. And he came near and kissed him. And he smelled the smell of his raiment and blessed him and said, See, the smell of my son is as the smell of a field which Yahweh hath blessed. Therefore Elohim give you of the dew of heaven and the fatness of the earth and plenty of corn and wine. Let people serve you and nations bow down to you. Be Lord over your brethren, and let your mother's sons bow down to you. Cursed be everyone that curses you, and blessed be he that blesses you. And it came to pass, as soon as Esau had made an end of blessing Jacob, and Jacob was yet scarce gone out from the presence of Esau his father, that Esau his brother came in from his hunting. And he also had made savory meat, and brought it unto his father, and said unto his father, Let my father arise and eat of his son's venison, that your soul may bless me. And Esau his father said unto him, Who are you? And he said, I am your son, your firstborn Esau. And Esau trembled very exceedingly and said, Who? Where is he that have taken venison and brought it me, and I have eaten of all before you came, and have blessed him? Yes, and he shall be blessed. And when Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with a great and exceeding bitter cry, and said unto his father, Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau said, Your brother came with subtlety, and have taken away your blessing. And he said, Is not he rightly named Jacob? For he hath supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright, and behold, now he hath taken away my blessing. And he said, Have you not reserved a blessing for me? And Esau answered and said unto Esau, Behold, I have made him your lord, and all his brethren have I given to him for service. And with corn and wine have I sustained him, and what shall I do now unto you, my son? And Esau said unto his father, Have you but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Esau his father answered and said unto him, Behold, your dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above.
Now look at his position. When the Romans came in, he was in power. When the Babylonians came in, when the Babylonians, the Medes, the Persians, the Greeks, the Romans came in, Esau was in position, right? Look at the position he holds now. He's still holding the height of the hill, right? He's still holding the nations hostage. Go ahead and read, bro.
But you notice, Elder Eben, I noticed when they was in our neighborhoods back in the 50s, those gypsies or whoever they was, that scourge of Esau, they always laughed it in our face and, beat us out of money and pretend to be our friends, but they was aligning themselves with politicians that were downtown to keep us at bay, right?
Correct. They was slowly bringing this Zionist manifesto into being. And if Lieberman and Gore would have won this election, pretty soon we would have had an Edomite for president. Then we would have been in big trouble. Yeah, go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir, verse 40. And by your sword shall you live, and shall serve your brother. And it shall come to pass, when you shall have the dominion, that you shall break his yoke from off your neck. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, The days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. And these words of Esau, her eldest son, were told to Rebekah. And she sent and called Jacob her younger son, and said unto him, Behold, your brother Esau, as touching you, does comfort himself, purposing to kill you. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice, and arise, flee you to Laban my brother to Haran, and tarry with him a few days, until your brother's fury turn away. Until your brother's anger turn away from you, and he forget that which you have done to him. Then I will send and fetch you from there. Why should I be deprived also of you both in one day? And Rebekah said to Esau, I am weary of my life because of the daughters of Heth. If Jacob take a wife of the daughters of Heth, such as these which are of the daughters of the land, what good shall my life do me?
Right. What good would it do to me if my son married one of these Africans here? The next book to read right after here is the book of Obadiah. Go read the book of Obadiah about the things that was going to happen pertaining to Esau. Chapter 28 and verse 1.
And Esau called Jacob and blessed him, and charged him, and said unto him, You shall not take a wife of the daughters of Canaan. Arise, go to Pandanaram, to the house of Bethuel, your mother's father, and take your wife from there of the daughters of Laban, your mother's brother. And Elohim Almighty bless you, and make you fruitful, and multiply you, that you may be a multitude of people, and give you the blessing of Abraham to you and to your seed with you, that you may inherit the land wherein you are a stranger, which Elohim gave unto Abraham. And Esau sent away Jacob, and he went to Pandanaram unto Laban, son of Bethuel, the Syrian, the brother of Rebekah's, Jacob, and Esau's mother.
Verse 10.
And Jacob went out from Beersheba and went toward Haran. And he lighted upon a certain place and tarried there all night, because the sun was set. And he took of the stones of that place and put them for his pillows, and lay down in that place to sleep. And he dreamed, and behold, a ladder set up on the earth, and the top of it reached to heaven, and behold, the angels of Elohim ascending and descending on it. And behold, Elohim stood above it and said, I am Yahweh Elohim of Abraham your father, and the Elohim of Esau. The land whereon you lie, to you will I give it, and to your seed. And your seed shall be as the dust of the earth, and you shall spread abroad to the west, and to the east, and to the north, and to the south. And in you and in your seed shall all the families of the earth be blessed.
In Israel and in the Messiah, will all the families of the earth be blessed, right? Go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 15. And behold, I am with you, and will keep you in all places whither you go, and will bring you again into this land. For I will not leave you until I have done that which I have spoken to you all. And Jacob awaked out of his sleep, and he said, surely Yahweh is in this place, and I knew it not. And he was afraid and said, how dreadful is this place? This is none other but the house of Elohim, and this is the gate of heaven. And Jacob rose up early in the morning, and took the stone that he had put for his pillows, and set it up for a pillar, and poured oil upon the top of it. And he called the name of that place Bethel, but the name of that city was called Luz at the first. And Jacob vowed a vow, saying, if Elohim will be with me, and will keep me in this way that I go, and will give me bread to eat, and raiment to put on, so that I come again to my father's house in peace, then shall Yahweh be my Elohim. And stone which I have set for a pillar shall be Elohim's house. And of all that you shall give me, I will surely give the tenth unto you. Then Jacob went on his journey, and came into the land of the people of the east. And he looked, and behold, a well in the field, and lo, there were 3 flocks of sheep lying by it. For out of that well they watered the flocks, and a great stone was upon the well's mouth.
Verse 10.
And it came to pass, when Jacob saw Rachel, the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, and the sheep of Laban, his mother's brother, that Jacob went near, and rolled the stone from the well's mouth, and watered the flock of Laban, his mother's brother. And Jacob kissed Rachel, and lifted up his voice, and wept. And Jacob told Rachel that he was her father's brother, and that he was Rebekah's son, and she ran and told her father.
Verse 16.
And Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Leah was tender-eyed, but Rachel was beautiful and well-favored. And Jacob loved Rachel, and said, I will serve you 7 years for Rachel, your younger daughter. And Laban said, it is better that I give her to you, than that I should give her to another man. Abide with me. And Jacob served 7 years for Rachel. And they seemed unto him but a few days, for the love he had to her. And Jacob said unto Laban, give me my wife, for my days are fulfilled, that I may go in unto her. And Laban gathered together all the men of the place, and made a feast. And it came to pass in the evening that he took Leah his daughter, and brought her to him. And he went in unto her. And Laban gave unto his daughter Leah Zilpah his maid for an handmaid. And it came to pass that in the morning, behold, it was Leah. And he said to Laban, what is this you have done unto me? Did not I serve with you for Rachel? Why then have you beguiled me? And Laban said, it must not be so done in our country, to give the younger before the firstborn. Fulfill her week, and we will give you this also for the service which you shall serve with me yet 7 other years. Brother, I believe that's when I got her and just went on by my business.
Brother, when you're in love, you do a whole lot of things. Like dude said, man, I'm in love. I can't eat. I can't sleep. I can't do anything. Dude said, you got indigestion, honey. Yeah, go to read, man.
Verse 28. And Jacob did so, and fulfilled her week, and he gave him Rachel, his daughter, to wife also. And Laban gave to Rachel his daughter Bilhah his handmaid to be her maid. And he went in also unto Rachel, and he loved also Rachel more than Leah, and served with him yet 7 other years. And when the Adonai saw that Leah was hated, he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. And Leah conceived and bare a son, and she called his name Reuben, for she said, surely Yahweh have looked upon my affliction. Now therefore my husband will love me. And she conceived again and bare a son, and said, because Yahweh have heard that I was hated, he have therefore given me this son also. And she called his name Simeon. And she conceived again and bare a son, and said, now this time will my husband be joined unto me, because I have borne him 3 sons. Verse 34. And she conceived again and bare a son, and said, now this time will my husband be joined unto me, because I have borne him 3 sons. Therefore was his name called Levi. And she conceived again and bare a son, and she said, now will I praise Yahweh. Therefore she called his name Yehudah, and left barren. And when Rachel saw that she bare Jacob no children, Rachel envied her sister, and said unto Jacob, give me children, or else I die. And Jacob's anger was kindled against Rachel, and he said, am I in Elohim's stead, who have withheld from you the fruit of the womb? And she said, behold, my maid Bilhah, go in unto her, and she shall bear upon my knees, that I may also have children by her. And she gave him Bilhah her handmaid's wife, and Jacob went in unto her. And Bilhah conceived and bare Jacob a son. And Rachel said, Elohim have judged me, and have also heard my voice, and have given me a son. Therefore called she his name Dan. And Bilhah, Rachel's maid, conceived again, and bare Jacob a second son. And Rachel said, with great wrestlings have I wrestled with my sister, and I have prevailed. And she called his name Naphtali. When Leah saw that she had left barren, she took Zilpah her maid, and gave her Jacob to wife. And Zilpah, Leah's maid, bare Jacob a son. And Leah said, a troop cometh, and she called his name Gad. And Zilpah, Leah's maid, bare Jacob a second son. And Leah said, happy am I, for the daughters will call me blessed, and she called his name Asher. And Reuben went in the days of wheat harvest, and found mandrakes in the field, and brought them unto his mother Leah. Then Rachel said to Leah, give me, I pray you, of your son's mandrakes. And she said unto her, is it a small matter that you have taken my husband? And will you take away my son's mandrakes also? And Rachel said, therefore he shall lie with you tonight for your son's mandrakes. And Jacob came out of the field in the evening, and Leah went out to meet him, and said, you must come in unto me, for surely I have hired you with my son's mandrake. And he lay with her that night. And Elohim hearkened unto Leah, and she conceived, and bare Jacob the 5th son. And Leah said, Elohim have given me my hire, because I have given my maiden to my husband. And she called his name Issachar. And Leah conceived again, and bare Jacob the 6th son. And Leah said, Elohim have endowed me with a good dowry. Now will my husband dwell with me, because I have borne him 6 sons. And she called his name Zebulun. And afterwards she bare a daughter, and called her name Dinah. And Elohim remembered Rachel, and Elohim hearkened to her, and opened her womb. And Rachel conceived and bare a son, and said, Elohim have taken away my reproach. And she called his name Yosef, and said, Yahweh shall add to me another son. And it came to pass, when Rachel had borne Yosef, that Jacob said to Laban, send me away, that I may go unto mine own place, and to my country. Give me my wives and my children, for whom I have served you, and let me go. For you know my service which I have done you.
Chapter 31 and verse 11, brother.
And the angel of Elohim spoke unto me in a dream, saying, Jacob. And I said, here am I. And he said, lift up now your eyes, and see all the rams which leap upon the cattle are ringed, streaked, speckled, and grizzled. For I have seen all that Laban doeth unto you. I am the El of Bethel, where you anointed the pillow, and where you vowed a vow unto me. Now arise, get you out from this land, and return unto the land of your kindred. And Rachel and Leah answered and said unto him, Is there yet any portion or inheritance for us in our father's house? Are we not counted of him strangers? For he hath sold us, and have quite devoured also our money. For all the riches which Elohim have taken from our father, that is ours and our children, now then, whatsoever Elohim have said unto you, do. Then Jacob rose up and set his sons and his wives upon camels, and he carried away all his cattle and all his goods which he had gotten, the cattle of his getting which he had gotten in Padanaram, for to go to Esau his father in the land of Canaan.
32 and 22.
And he rose up that night and took his wives and his 2 women servants and his 11 sons and passed over the ford Yabok. And he took them and sent them over the brook and sent over that he had. And Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day.
Now, what you do is you check Hosea chapter 12 and verse 4, and you'll find out this is an angel. But Jacob said, I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 24. And Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint as he wrestled with him. And he said, Let me go, for the day breaketh. And he said, I will not let thee go, except thou bless me. And he said unto him, What is your name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, Your name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince have you power with Elohim and with men, and have prevailed. And Jacob asked him and said, Tell me, I pray you, your name. And he said, Why is it that you do ask after my name? And he blessed him there. And Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, for I have seen Elohim face to face, and my life is preserved.
And he became what? A prince with God, right? As the angels in heaven are, all of them are princes with God. And we see how much power that Jacob had because the angel could not put the brother down. Go ahead and read, man.
Yes, sir. Verse 31. And as he passed over Peniel, the sun rose upon him, and he halted upon his thigh.
33 and 18.
And Jacob came to Salem, a city of Shechem, which is Shalem, verse 18. And Jacob came to Shalem, a city of Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan, when he came from Padanaram, and pitched his tent before the city. And he bought a parcel of a field where he had spread his tent at the hand of the children of Hamor, Shechem's father, for 100 pieces of money. And he erected there an altar and called it El Elohi Israel.
35 and 1.
And Elohim said unto Jacob, Arise, go up to Bethel, and dwell there, and make there an altar unto Elohim that appeared unto you when you fled from the face of Esau your brother. Then Jacob said unto his household and to all that were with him, Put away the strange Elohims that are among you, and be clean, and change your garments, and let us arise and go up to Bethel, and I will make there an altar unto Elohim, who answered me in the day of my distress, and was with me in the way which I went. And they gave unto Jacob all the strange Elohims which were in their hand, and all their earrings which were in their ears, and Jacob hid them under the oak which was by Shechem. And they journeyed, and the terror of Elohim was upon the cities that were round about them, and they did not pursue after the sons of Jacob. So Jacob came to Luz, which is in the land of Canaan, that is Bethel, he and all the people that were with him. And he built there an altar and called the place El Bethel, because there Elohim appeared unto him when he fled from the face of Esau.
Now, if we think back on the names that we've heard Bethel, right? We've also heard the house of God, right? and we've heard Mariah, right? These names are very, very vivid among the older people in our neighborhoods when they first begin to build those churches, simply because these were places that our forefathers had built altars to our Creator at. And this was our people way of passing down that heritage from generation to generation. But our people wouldn't read, they wouldn't study. And they heap teachers to themselves, having itching ears, brother. Before you know it, they've forgotten everything. Now, instead of going back down to the land and being redeemed to the land, now they're going up in God's heaven. And Christ told his apostles, said, in my Father's house, there are many mansions. But if it was not so, I would not have told you so. But they're not for you. I got to go prepare a place for you so that when I come, I can receive you of myself. And the city that he prepared was the new city, Jerusalem, right? He told him, so where I go, you can't come, right? Well, why are all these folks going to heaven now? Yeah. Go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 8. But Deborah, Rebekah's nurse, died, and she was buried under Bethel. She was buried beneath Bethel under an oak. And the name of it was called Elon Bashut. And Elohim appeared unto Jacob again when he came out of Pandanaram and blessed him. And Elohim said unto him, your name is Jacob. Your name shall not be called any more Jacob, but Israel shall be your name. And he called his name Israel. And Elohim said unto him, I am El Almighty. Be fruitful and multiply. A nation and a company of nations shall be of you, and kings shall come out of your loins. And the land which I gave Abraham and Esau, to you will I give it, and to your seed after you will I give the land. And Elohim went up from him in the place where he talked with him. And Jacob set up a pillar in the place where he talked with him, even a pillar of stone. And he poured a drink offering thereon, and he poured oil thereon. And Jacob called the name of the place where Elohim spoke with him, Bethel. And they journeyed from Bethel, and there was but a little way to come to Ephrath. And Rachel travailed, and she had hard labor. And it came to pass, when she was in hard labor, that the midwife said unto her, fear not, you shall have this son also. And it came to pass, as her soul was in departing, for she died, that she called his name Benoni, but his father called him Benjamin. And Rachel died and was buried in the way to Ephrath, which is Bethlehem. And Jacob set a pillar upon her grave. That is the pillar of Rachel's grave unto this day. And Israel journeyed and spread his tent beyond the tower of Edah. And it came to pass, when Israel dwelt in that land, that Reuben went and lay with Bilhah, his father's concubine, and Israel heard it.
Right, it cost him his birthright too, didn't it? Go ahead, brother.
Now the sons of Jacob were 12. Verse 23. The sons of Leah, Reuben, Jacob's firstborn, and Simeon, and Levi, and Yehuda, and Issachar, and Zebulun. The sons of Rachel, Joseph, and Benjamin. And the sons of Bilhah, Rachel's handmaid, Dan and Naphtali. And the sons of Zilpah, Leah's handmaid, Gad and Asher. These are the sons of Jacob, which were born to him in Pandanaram. And Jacob came unto Esau his father, unto Mamre, unto the city of Arba, which is Hebron, where Abraham and Esau sojourned. And the days of Esau were 180 years. And Esau gave up the ghost and died, and was gathered unto his people, being old and full of days. And his sons Esau and Jacob buried him.
Okay, my brother, I don't want to go any further than that. I want to stop right there at the birth of the 12 tribes and the death of the second patriarch, Esau. And next week, if Yahweh's will, what we'll do, we'll pick it up at Genesis chapter 37 and verse 1. That's all I'm going to do today. Do we have any announcements?